Hello and welcome back to today's Mexico News Network. Remember, we're broadcasting from El Dorado Royal Spa Resort by Charisma, a gorgeous, gourmet inclusive hotel located in the heart of Riviera Maya. And also keep informed 24/7 on Mexico and the world on our website www.mexiconewsnetwork.com. Don't forget to also follow us on social networks on Facebook, Twitter, Google+. You'll find us as Mexico News Network. Now let's continue with more information. The Large Hadron Collider, the LHC, a particle accelerator and the largest machine in the world, is ready for action following a 2-year shutdown. Scientists at the European Organization for Nuclear Research completed final tests after problems that delays the restart in March, enabling the very first beams to start circulating on Sunday inside the LHC's 17 miles ring. The CERN Director General Rolf Huer said on the organization's website that operating accelerators for the benefit of the physics community is the reason of CERN's existence. The LHC generates up to 600 million particles per second, with a beam circulating for 10 hours running, traveling more than 6 billion miles, the distance from the Earth to Neptune and back again. At near light speed, a proton in the LHC makes 11,245 circuits per second. You must be wondering, why does it matter? It took thousands of scientists, engineers, and technicians decades to devise and build the particle accelerator, housed in a tunnel between Lake Geneva and the Juna mountain range. The purpose of the Lenchi project is to recreate the conditions that existed moments after the Big Bang, the scientific theory said to explain the creation of the universe. By replicating the energy density and the temperature, scientists hope to uncover how the universe evolved. Dr. Mike Lamont, Operations Group Leader at the LHC, said that the current limited knowledge is based on what is called the standard model of particle physics, but they know that model is not complete yet. The origin of mass and why some particles are very heavy while others have no mass at all. A unified description of all fundamental forces such as gravity and uncovering dark matter and dark energy, since visible matter accounts for only 4% of the universe, are questions that still remain. The LHC should also question the idea that the universe is only made of matter, despite the theory that an antimatter must have been produced in the same amounts at the time of the Big Bang. CERN says the energies achievable by the LHC have only ever been found in nature. The machine cost approximately $3.3 billion, paid for by the member countries of the CERN and contributions made by non-member nations. Scientists and physics enthusiasts will be waiting with bated breath as the LHC ventures onto the great unknown in the future coming. Ford has created a car that reads speed limit signs and automatically slows down. The answer for those speed addicts that cannot keep their gas pedal off the metal is here. Ford says that the newest edition of its S-Max car has a new technology that scans traffic signs and adjusts the throttle to keep drivers stay within legal speed limits and avoid fines. This new system, called the Intelligent Speed Limiter, was unveiled by Ford of Europe in Germany on Tuesday. However, Ford's European division said that the technology will be available at a worldwide level. The S-Max can in fact read signs with its traffic sign recognition system and also adjust for speed accordingly. And it does not need to pull down the brake to slow down the car either. The system does not apply the brakes but smoothly controls engine torque by electronically adjusting the amount of fuel delivered, the company said in a press release. However, the fun isn't over for speed testers. Drivers can in fact temporarily override the system by pressing firmly on the accelerator, said Ford. The technology seems to be a step in the direction of the driverless car, however, also known as an autonomous car. While these cars have yet to hit the market, Audi unveiled one last year that reached 140 miles per hour with no driver at the wheel. Google, as well as Nokia, have also been experimenting with driverless cars. Google's electric-powered Lutz Pathfinder started rolling through London last month at a not-so-brisk 12 miles per hour, and the company plans to expand tests later on this week. Auto parts company Delphi has a driverless car, an Audi SQ5, which is currently driving cross-country. The car, which has several passengers, started running on Sunday. When photographer Johan Bavman became a father for the very first time, he took more than a passing wonder about how his native Sweden is said to be one of the most generous nations on earth for parental leave. He immersed himself in the fatherhood, twice over, you might say. He used his very own photography to document the real-life experience of other fathers taking full advantage of Sweden's extraordinary program, which allows mothers and fathers to take long leaves from their careers so they can care for their newborns. Now get a load of this. Sweden grants a total of 480 calendar days for parental leave, with 390 of them paid at 80% of income, with a maximum of 3,160 euros a month, which is 20 euros daily or 22 euros daily. However, there is a catch. Fathers have to share that leave with mothers. So, to promote both parents to raise their children, Sweden has in fact mandated that 60 of the 480 days be a daddy months or partner months. If the 60 daddy days are not used, they are lost, reducing the maximum leave to 420 days. The country also created a gender equality bonus. The more days that parents share the leave equally, they get a bonus that could total up to 1,500 euros or 1,649 US dollars. The idea is for both parents to share the joys and struggles of raising infants. In reality, only 12% of Swedish couples equally share the 480 days of leave, Bavman said, with the women continuing to lead the way that as the stay-at-home parent and men as the careerist. Still, Bavman mused last summer about how the policy impacts those men who use the full measure of their parental leave. At first, Bavman had difficulty finding such men, but the fathers he did find and photographed, he captured their devotion in realistic imagery. I realized while I was talking to these dads that these dads are struck by how important the bonding is between you and the children, said Bavman, who has now a 3-year-old son, Viggo, with his partner Linda Stark, a freelance journalist. I did not wait to bring out fathers as super dads, Bavman said. I wanted to bring out these role models which people can connect to. I want to have those dads who can also show their tiredness, which comes with being home with your children, of course. It is a hard, full-time job. This is something that we have been taking for granted for hundreds of years. This is something that mothers have never been recognized for, Bavman said. He also found moments of humor, with one child nearly ripping apart the shirts of his busy father. The fathers have become more understanding of their wives and even their own mothers, Bavman said. Some are today considering a career change to accommodate their parenthood. Being home 9 months, they get time to think about their life. The photographer said Bavman is looking for a total of 60 fathers to photograph and culminate in an exhibition and a book. So far, he has found 35 worthy of his lens. Recently released photographs show one of Britain's largest medieval hospital burial grounds lying beneath a college at the University of Cambridge in south of England. About 1,300 people are believed to have been buried on the site between the early 13th and 15th century, according to research by the university's Department of Archaeology. The cemetery lies below what is now the Old Divinity School at St. John's College, built in the 1800s as the Selwyn Divinity School. St. John's College takes its name from the medieval hospital of St. John's the Evangelist, which stood opposite the graveyard up until 1511. The excavation of the site of the hospital cemetery took place during the refurbishment of the Divinity School in 2010-2012 and is detailed in a report published by the archaeological journal. The documentary evidence indicates that the hospital was established to care for the poor and infirm, and under the Augustan rule, adopted in the year 1250. If not earlier, the hospital was to be for poor scholars or other wedged persons. Pregnant women, lepers, the wounded, cripples, and the insane were all specifically included, the research says. The fact that not a single identifiable individual or their circulated bone could be aged under 5 years, and that only 6.3% of those in the excavated burials were under 10 years old, must either indicate that children this young were not present in the hospital, or that if they were, then they were buried somewhere else, they said. Lead researcher Craig Cresford said that it appeared indications of a border cemetery that had been ignored during the building of the Divinity School, which was substantial wall foundations and cellaring. Researchers estimated that about 40% of the ground was distributed, while also pointing out that a decade beforehand there had been a public outcry when a graveyard was distributed during the building of London's St. Pancras railway station. Those remains had been re-entered, they said. Nonetheless, 400 complete skeletons in excellent conditions were found at the site, and as well as a network of gravel pathways. They noted a number of unusual burials, including 2 north-south burials across a pathway in the other west side, predominantly west-east sites. There were few grave goods found in the cemetery, likely due to the fact that no clerics were buried there, researchers said. The only definitive grave goods were a jet crucifix and a copper alloy brooch. The crucifix shows signs of wear and polish, indicating long-term use, and was almost certainly a treasured possession, they said. It had been slightly damaged, however, perhaps explaining why it had been discarded in the grave. Researchers found no evidence of coffins or even definitive evidence for the use of shrouds, again reflecting the poverty of those buried there and, up until today, hidden by history. We'll be right back with more information on Mexico, the world, the Riviera Maya after these brief messages.